Welcome to Brenda Awareness, a show where I talk about anything that's on my mind. I'm Brenda Vaisha, a influencer, writer, fashion consultant, and I also collect vintage fashion. I am shooting episode 001, actually for the second time. I have to admit this because I felt like the first time I shot this, I was trying to fit too many topics into one thing and it became really rambly. This will be rambly too. I want you guys to have the feeling that you're on the phone with your long distance bestie, but I have a little notebook in front of me where I wrote down like everything I kind of want to say in order because I was like running all over the place and it didn't make sense at all. As my first episode, I thought we would treat this as like a new season of a TV series is starting and you're getting kind of like a recap. In case you missed the first season, here's everything that happened. So I thought it would be a good idea for you to either, if you don't know me yet, get to know me a little bit better, or if you do know me, it's just like a little bit of a catch-up vibe. So this is a year in review. We're currently in March 2024. I'm hoping that the Show Up podcast, I don't know what I'm calling it, neither feels right. I don't really see myself as a podcaster. I'll get to this. I'm hoping that it will launch in April, but let's see. I'm sorry for my filler words in advance. There's a lots of and lots of like. I'm really trying to control them, but I am failing. So if you guys have any tips on how to get better at this, because I'm uploading these episodes unedited, so because I feel like it's so like jumpy to cut off these filler words. But if you have any help for me that you can recommend, let me know. Okay, we are starting last year in January, or the 31st of December of 2022 actually. I am in Paris. I am there on a spontaneous New Year's Eve trip with my best friend Caitlin. Hi Caitlin, if you're listening, love you. Caitlin, I don't know if she feels comfortable me talking about her, but I think most women or anyone, it's the kind of girlfriend that really saved me in a period of my life. I met her around 4 years ago or 5 years ago. I was at a really low point in my last relationship, feeling not very self-confident. I was really like victimizing myself as this relationship was like coming to an end. And I followed Caitlin on Instagram because we had mutual friends in Berlin, and then we met up for a drink and I just trauma dumped onto her. Like everything was going wrong with my life. She did not ask for this, but it was very like woman on woman, you know, the kind of bathroom talk. And she, without knowing me that well, gave me this huge TED talk of how I can change my life. And she's like, you're getting a dog, you're doing this, you're concentrating on yourself, you're concentrating on your career. And in a way, she was like manifesting my future life. There's a point to this story because Caitlin and I spent New Year's Eve together and we were really like, let's take this manifesting shit seriously. And we had a great New Year's Eve, caviar Caspia with like lots of friends, like super fancy night. I mean, caviar Caspia, if you've been, I'm a vegan, so I had a hot potato without sauce for New Year's Eve, but that's another topic. The next morning we woke up and we really wrote down a full list of everything we want. I think there's lots of secrets, there's lots of recipes for manifesting. I think it's a very like somewhat overhyped topic and people take it very seriously when in fact I think it's very simple. I think the biggest step or the most important when it comes to manifesting or writing down your goals is admitting to yourself what you want. Like that's the most important step. How's the universe or whatever you believe in? Well, there's no not believing in the universe. However, whatever you believe in, how is this power supposed to know what you want? You can't just keep them guessing. And I think the first step is admitting to yourself what you want. So I wrote down a huge list. Maybe one day I'll read it to you. And in hindsight, 1 year later, everything I wished for came true. Of course, with a little bit of hard work, but mainly it was admitting to myself what I wanted. So it was a very magical New Year's Eve and start to the year, and like girlfriends rooting for each other. And I had a really great start to the new year. First week of January last year, I went to my hairdresser, Tommy, who I've been with for, who's been my hairdresser for like 7 years. If you followed me for a while, I had black dyed hair down to my bum, basically. And every few months I was sitting, getting my roots done, and he's like, Brenda, I hope you never come into my salon asking to be blonde because there's so much black dye in your hair, like you have to commit to this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, like I'm like black haired forever, like no worries. Anyways, the girls that know, or anyone, if you really need a drastic change, like it's the hair. So I was looking at pictures of myself and I was like, I'm ready for a transformation. I didn't really recognize myself in pictures. I looked so sad. I looked so, I don't know. So I went to Tommy and I was like, we have to change my hair. We have to change my hair. I'm going blonde. I'm so sorry. So I skipped men's fashion. This is like such a Brenda hashtag thing to say. I skipped men's fashion week last year to bleach my hair. It was a 2-week long process, and for 2 weeks I was orange and I didn't really leave the house besides taking Summer, my dog, out for walks. It was a very traumatic experience for me, who's into black and white, like the orange hair. It was a lot. I have picture proof on my phone. I'm still a year later not really ready to laugh at that because it was very, I don't know. But I did the hair change without telling anyone. Not even, I have a management, for example, as an influencer or as a fashion persona, a public figure or whatever, which is being treated kind of like a model contract, like a model agency. And I didn't even tell that, like it's in my contract, I have to tell them about any visual changes to my look, and I didn't even tell them. So I just went blonde and I don't regret it. Right now, if you're watching this on video, I have yellow hair. Huge mistake, big mistake, huge, fatal. I just bought dry shampoo. I'm a big dry shampoo girl for my bangs. I don't really wash my hair all that often just because, I don't know, I'm an environmentalist, you know, saving water. I'm kidding. I bought dry shampoo, quote unquote, for blondes. Little did I know it was yellow. Anyways, I just sprayed it in there and now I feel like very self-conscious. So please, I've already pointed it out, like don't tell me it's yellow. I know. I'm getting my hair done. Actually, big next transformation on Friday in March. I'm getting my hair cut off. I think I want like collarbone or something. Like I want it off. It's too long. I don't like it. Anyways, February of last year. Moving on. Everything will make sense, I think, in hindsight, these kinds of stories that I'm telling. I went to London last February and I wrote a narrative for a short movie of my friend Steven, and it was my first time ever doing creative writing, basically. So maybe you know, but I'm the fashion editor of O32C. I do interviews, that's my only thing. I don't think I'm such a great writer. I don't know, I don't really feel confident in my writing. And my friend Steven does feel confident in me and asked me to write a narrative for his short movie. He's a shoe designer, and it was a really great experience. And what I also did for like this event, and that will make sense in hindsight, we recorded my voice, and that was my first, besides like sending voice notes on WhatsApp, my first ever time where people could hear my voice, like in a room. I basically read, because we thought it was funny, it was activation for shoes, and I read out the text, the lyrics of Fuck Me Pumps from Amy Winehouse on loop. So as all of our friends like were in the room, at some point someone's like, is that your voice? And I was reading Fuck Me Pumps. I still know it word for word if that's ever needed. Anyways, so I'm getting more confident in my voice. In hindsight, you know, I'm starting a podcast. What also happened last February was a really big step for me. Which was my first Central St. Martin's lecture. I studied Central St. Martin's in 2017. I did my master's there in fashion journalism. I love to go back. I love to talk to the students. And well, giving a lecture there, I don't know, for me, always the biggest moments I experienced that you cannot buy yourself into. Even if you have 1 million followers or 5 million followers, this is not the kind of experience that you get with, I don't know, money or followers or anything. And so I felt really honored speaking to the students. I did that one more time last year, and I don't know, biggest like highlight of my year, basically. I was also, this is gonna sound like a lot of like accomplishments, but things will make sense in the end. And also, yeah, I'm learning to not downplay my accomplishments. If these kinds of things don't motivate you but make you feel bad, I think you should, I don't know if this sounds shady, but reflect inside of like why someone else's, accomplishment, or if they're happy for themselves, why that bothers you. Anyways, moving on. I was also the juror for the first time of a graduate collection, AMD, a German university, and I was a juror together with Stefano Pilati, which I think he's one of the most well-dressed men of our time. If you don't know him, he's a fabulous designer and like coolest personal style ever. So that happened. Then during Fashion Week, Women's Fashion Week last February 2023, I announced that I am the fashion editor of O32C. This can be also a huge story time another time maybe, but basically I started writing for my dream magazine, and they approached me. It's nothing that I ever pitched, or I didn't approach them by myself. They came to me and asked me to start a column, which is called Brenda's Business. And that went really well. And 6 months later, they wanted to give me a title. And it was a really big step for me, because print is king, as always. And if you're attached to a print magazine, and such an iconic magazine, it really helped shape my career. And I feel so humbled working with them. Jörg and Maria Koch are really like mentors to me. I really respect what they're doing business-wise and as people. And I'm really proud to be part of that magazine. Yeah, that happened. Okay. I then had my first in March. We're in March of last year. I had my first O32C work trip, which is like so exciting. My little like Gala columna era. I traveled to Munich to interview Nobu, like the Nobu of the restaurants, which was so iconic. And it was a really great experience, and a little preparation for my first big work trip, which was last April. I flew to LA for the Fear of God show to interview Jerry Lorenzo. And a lot of things happened to me like personally on this LA trip, big milestones, meeting people that I've always wanted to meet. But I have one example. I don't know if you guys believe in like red thread theory, like everything is connected, but I have a really like cute story of what happened there. So basically, last April, I'm in LA. I'm a little bit jet lagged. My friend wants to go for drinks. My friend Steven. Hi, Steven, if you're listening. He wants to go for drinks and meet his friend Adesua. She is I would consider her a supermodel, really, really, really big model. And they were like kind of catching up, and I was just third wheeling, but I was jet lagged. I really had to leave the house, otherwise I would have fallen asleep. Anyways, we sat down, and Adesua brings a friend, a guy. I forgot his name, but he's like, it's a really fun story. So we all sit together. We're in Soho House, West Hollywood. It's super loud. I'm a grandma. I'm deaf. Like, it's like not my vibe. It's dark. And like Soho House, whole other topic. Hate Soho House. And we're sitting down. Steven and Adesua start like catching up, and they're in one corner. So I am now stuck with this guy, and I'm very tired. Like, I don't want to talk, but then I also don't want to be rude and just leave. So I'm a very like arrogant person. Like, if I'm not feeling the conversation, I'm just like, I find it very hard faking it, but I'm like, okay, let's get myself together. Let's not be rude. Let's talk to this guy. 5 minutes later, I am so deep in, this guy was a big yapper. I'm so deep in this conversation of this guy, like locked the fuck in. He starts talking to me, basically giving me a TED talk. I didn't ask for this, but I'm so grateful he started yapping, talking about people having finite goals when they should be having infinite goals. So he was talking to me about like how we set our goals in life and why we're always unhappy. Like, we fulfill one thing, it's the job title, it's the relationship, it's all finite goals. Like, I want this boyfriend, or I want this wedding, or I want this job title. When in reality, all of our goals should be endless, you know? It's not, I want the boyfriend, but I want the happy relationship, and I want to work every day to make myself happy, to make the other person happy, to grow together. Like, I don't want just this job title, but I want a career, and a long-lasting career, and I want to help everyone around me. So basically, he just gave me this like 20-minute TED talk, and I was blown away. So the next morning I wake up and I just have in my notes app finite goals versus infinite goals, and I need to check myself. So I went through all of my goals basically, and I was like, which of these are finite goals? Like, which of these have an end? Because I need to either rephrase them or kick them out, because that is not how my goals should be worded. And it really helped me. Maybe it's a very obvious thing to anyone that's listening, but to me, it was really like mind-boggling how simple this was. Like why we're always unhappy when something gets fulfilled. The emptiness sits in like after the serotonin of I don't know, a job promotion or whatever. It's because the goals are finite. Anyways, this guy then, I like don't have his contact, don't have anything, and also like the story like ends here of that. But New Year's Eve the next year, like 2 months ago, I actually find out who it was through a guy that I'm now dating. It's a whole thing, but I will get to this, hopefully. Anyways, then it's May. I'm in New York and I have my very first Monday in May, you guys. First Monday in May is Met Gala, and I was invited as a writer. So basically, first Monday in May, the Met Gala is at night, and I don't know why I'm whispering, I'm like so excited. The morning of the first Monday in May, a select group of journalists, like press, gets invited for a press preview of the exhibition of the Metropolitan Museum, of the Costume Institute of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Again, like an experience that you cannot buy. I'm still like shitting my pants over it. Like it was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. Like I was in the room with all of my idols, basically, all the writers I look up to. It was Karl Lagerfeld. If you know me, I'm a huge Karl Lagerfeld fan and collector. As a German, he was the first person that I ever recognized, like as a kid, of like, this is high fashion and this is someone who made it to Paris. So very emotional attachment for me, and it was such a career goal of mine, even though it had nothing to do with money, nothing to do with, I don't know, this checklist. Just an infinite goal of mine is just to be part of this world, and I was really, 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 really honored going. 2 days later, big milestone for myself, I went on my first ever podcast. It was Throwing Fits, Larry and James. I don't know if I don't think they'll be listening, but it's a very popular, mainly menswear focused podcast. And I also very like red thread, someone, I think a follower like months prior, sent me an episode like, hi, I think you'll like this. And it was an episode of Mel Ottenberg on Throwing Fits, like going on this podcast. And I loved it. I've never heard of the podcast before. I became obsessed because I think the guys have a really funny synergy. They're super hilarious. And I started going through the list of episodes. There's like 2 a week. It's a lot. They've been doing this for years. And I click on basically every single episode where I recognize the guest's name and listen to it. And at some point, I don't know, I think maybe Jane, one of them started following me. I followed them back. We started chatting, and like a month later, basically, I was on the podcast. And if you've listened to the episode, I'm really proud to say it was their most listened to episode of last year, 2023. And I was not prepared. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And the guys made me so comfortable and confident, and getting this kind of immediate feedback from a crowd that wasn't a fan of me, you know, like whole new audience. It felt a lot more real in a way, like, oh, I can talk, like people like me. I don't know, it sounds so cringe, but it was a very validating experience. And that's one of the things that also led me to this podcast now, because I never would have thought that I would have the courage to speak by myself. You know, I'm sitting by myself in my own living room at the moment. So it was a really, really, really great experience, and I'm very thankful the guys had me on. And I don't know, very like monumental moment for me, where I realized like, oh, I can talk and people like it to listen. I don't know if that sounds weird, but yeah, it was a really, really nice experience. In the same month, we're in May still, Peter Doe, my friend, announced that he's the new creative director for Helmut Lang. Big step it represented, not only I'm so proud to know Peter, I love him, he's great, but it was one of the first steps in this like generational switch or change or turnover in the fashion industry. And I think me and a lot of my friends, we thought it would never fucking happen, because the gatekeepers seemed so strong and no one was moving out of their titles or careers, no one was making way for new talent. And that was kind of to me in my personal life and my environment, like a catalyst for a lot of things happening. You know, now Blake, maybe you've seen Blake Abbey, my close friend, he's the editor-in-chief of a magazine curated by, I'll get to this later, but all of my friends are really thriving, and it's a spider web I think that's also the difference between our generation and the ones before. Everyone supporting each other. And, you know, people that I know that were juniors or fashion assistants 3 years ago are now at crazy brands and crazy positions, and everyone's helping each other. And it feels like, because fashion can be very lonely and very vicious and very backstabby and elbows out. And this moment of Peter announcing this, it really, to me, signaled like a shift in the industry of like, there's a new generation, not in power, but, you know, a seat at the table. So I'm very excited. And for me personally, I don't know if this sounds selfish, but I cannot believe I'm in the position that I always dreamt of. You know, I was looking as a kid, wanting to be in fashion. I was looking at these fabulous women, not that I'm fabulous at all. I'm here with my yellow dry shampoo, but looking at these fabulous women who were friends with designers, you know, and I thought that's like an unreachable thing to me. And it happened so organically that now my friends are at these brands. And yeah, it feels amazing. We come to June, and now I have a little gossip. I don't know how much I want to talk about this, but in June I met someone, and I never really talk about my private life. I've had like a really nasty, like for me personally, nasty breakup in the past, and I swore to myself, like, I'm never posting anyone again, I'm never talking about anything. But I also want to be like real on here, but I do want to be as real and say that it's very scary to talk about your private life, because even like, if I'm being really, really realistic, I'm so scared of like talking about this now or talking about this for a year, and then in 2 years time I'm like, oh, that didn't age well. You know, that's a huge risk, but love is always a risk, I guess. But yeah, I met someone and we started out as friends, and now we're dating, or no, we're together. He's my boyfriend. Sounds so cringe to say. And I'm very happy and very excited. And yeah, so privately, I think, yeah, lots of great things are happening, and I'm super, super excited. He's a very special person. Maybe by now that you're listening to this, I've already like posted him. I have no idea. I have no idea what my vibe is. But yeah, I'm very happy. And now I'm blushing, so I'm moving on. What also happened in June, that was really my first, you know, I've done fashion weeks for like 8 years, with a break of COVID, obviously, but only in the last like 3 years I've gotten the big brands and like the major things and all of the things that I've ever dreamt of and more. And June was really the month last year for me where Fashion Week, like I was looking at the lineup of the shows I have, and it's insane. It's insane. So I'm so happy and so excited. I will do a dedicated, I think, episode on Fashion Month that I've just wrapped up for Winter 24, like what it means, what my job is, what my role is, what everyone else is doing everywhere. So I think I'm gonna do a dedicated like Fashion Week thing. July was very calm. I had a super calm summer just with my friends. I didn't go really on vacation. I was in Berlin. I was preparing for something other major that I'm gonna mention soon. And it was really just calm. The one thing that I wrote down here was Twitter scandal. I started Twitter about a year ago, very late to the game. I mean, I'm supposed to say X, but that doesn't really come very natural to me. I had a Twitter scandal. Something, I mean, very wake-up call that was taken so out of context. I'm hoping I'm explaining this right, because I don't fully remember. I was on Instagram. I posted a picture of my tabby boots, like white heels, and then someone replied to my story and asked like, what brand is this, question mark. I took a screenshot, and then I posted on Twitter the screenshot of my Instagram story, like my shoes, and then the screenshot of the DM, like, what is the brand, question mark. And then my caption was like, am I a joke to you? Me thinking this will be like, this is like sarcasm, like funny, ha 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 ha. It will stay in my little like niche community of tabby lovers, you know. I'm making fun of myself for being like obsessed with tabbies. Like I thought this is like self-deprecating humor. Anyways, it was taken really out of context. 5 hours later, it has like 16 million views. People were calling me all sorts of names for being like elitist or something. And even though I thought I was making fun of myself, the one good thing that came out of this is that I got the best insult of my life. And I think at some point I have to use it for something, like maybe a DJ name or stage name or memoir. I don't know yet, but I was being called by thousands bleach demon. Let that sink in. I mean, amazing. Just, it's so on brand, amazing. I have to do something with this at some point. Maybe it's the name of my autobiography or something. So that happened, and well, moral of the story is like, careful on the internet. You know, you should never be fully relaxed, and word yourself carefully, and don't just think people. You know, everything's accessible to everyone, and things can really be taken out of context. I'm also a little bit scared, obviously, with a podcast of being taken out of context. I think the more I talk, the benefit or like the reward is me bonding with whoever's listening to this, hopefully, unless you're like, oh my God, this bitch needs to shut up. But that's my reward. But the scary thing is I'm making what's the word? The German word is Angriffsfläche. Like the more I talk, I'm making the surface of where you can hit me bigger. You know, the more I talk, I reveal things about myself, and you can turn them into an insult, or it can be a certain seconds can be clipped and like be taken out of context. So I'm obviously wary about that, but I also think the reward of me bonding with you is so much greater. And I guess everyone believes they're a good person, right? But I believe that about myself. So I will take the risk, and I'm hoping that all goes well. Anyways, that was July. That was my summer. In August, I put on my big girl pants, and I did one of the most major grown-up things that anyone can do. I bought an apartment. I was looking for 4 years. I bought an apartment in Berlin. I was looking for 4 years trying to buy something. It's the only thing I've ever done with my money. Not really big into stocks or anything else. And I was looking forever. I was looking at the craziest lofts in Kreuzberg and the most beautiful old buildings. Like, I looked at everything ever. I think one time I will share all the pictures of all of the apartments. And then you fall in love and you envision your life, and then the next thing is completely different. So I got really confused. In the end, I bought the cheapest and ugliest one that I looked at in those 4 years, which meant I can afford to renovate it. I have a very delusional story. Maybe I'll tell this in full in another time, but basically I reached out to my dream architect. Dream architect meaning they don't really do private residencies. Like, one of their projects, for example, was Damna started at Balenciaga, and they are the architects who are reimagining the entire stores worldwide. Like, that's the kind of scale of stuff they're doing. Anyways, my friends told me I was being delusional to reach out to them, like she has lost the plot. But I did anyways. On a Sunday afternoon, I wrote a long email. The title was A Long Shot, or the subject was A Long Shot, and I explained who I am, that I'm buying this apartment, and that I really need help, and if they would just look at pictures and give me recommendations. Just because I have personal taste, or at least I think I have personal taste, doesn't mean I know how to renovate an apartment, where the light's supposed to come from, where the plugs should be, like all of this stuff. Anyways, they replied, excuse me, that's a burp, I'm so sorry. They replied within half an hour and basically asked if they could view the apartment with me, and I met them the same week, and now I have my dream architect working on my dream apartment, and I don't know, I just had my first design meeting, and I hope to be in there by this fall 2024. Let's see, it's gonna be major. I'm so excited. It's a crazy design, very, 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 very expensive, so I really have to hustle this year. But I think, I don't know if you have when you're looking for a new apartment to rent, like to move into, some of you might have the friends that I have that tell you, like, you take the one that's more expensive or the one that fits your future lifestyle, because that's how manifesting is also like pretending like you already own something. Anyways, I'm so stoked. Yeah, I own an apartment in my dream city, Berlin, which is so crazy to say. September. I am starting to kind of live my Berlin-New York dream. I used to live in New York, and I always thought I wanted to move back, but I could never afford it. And the guy that I'm dating sounds so like no strings attached. My current boyfriend also sounds so dramatic. My boyfriend lives in New York, so I am between Berlin and New York at the moment, which is quite tough, but I'm so excited to be back in New York. Most of my best friends live there. I feel so comfortable there and so at home. So yeah, My next goal is having more jobs and clients in America, also because my biggest audience is in the US. So that's my next thing I'm manifesting. Now I spoke it out loud, so it really has to happen. But yeah, since August, September, I've kind of lived my Berlin, New York dream. What also happened in September is my best friends in the world got married. Niels and Lisa, I don't know if I should say their names. Anyways, hi guys, I love you. They got married and they are my non-fashion friends. They work in serious jobs. So they got married during Fashion Week in September. So I had to fly from Paris with no sleep to Salzburg. They got married in the mountains. And then back for the Magella show the next day. I didn't have a direct flight. I was flying Paris, Frankfurt, Salzburg. I land in Frankfurt Friday afternoon, having not slept. Wedding's 10 a.m. next morning. My flight gets cancelled. It gets cancelled so bad that they like push me out of the terminal with a hotel voucher. Like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. There's nothing we can do for you tonight. I am so discouraged. I try one more Lufthansa counter. They tell me like, no, there's nothing we can do. I go outside of the terminal to another, like one last resort. Like, I am really like, this needs to happen. I'm about to miss my best friend's wedding. And I go up to the counter. I'm like, this is what's happened. I need to get there by tonight because they're leaving with a gondola at 10 a.m. the next morning. Like, I cannot make it even at the 6 a.m. flight. And she's like, there's like, all the flights are booked out. There's like nothing I can do. And then I say, can you... And then she's giving me like vouchers for a train that's like 8 hours. Like, I can't do that. I haven't slept. And then I tell her, if you can get me to Munich, I will just rent a rental car and drive the 3 hours myself. Like, please just get me south. And she looks at me and she goes, like, she really sees me in distress. She looks at me and she goes, if you tell me right now that you want to go, the flight is in half an hour to Munich, I will kick someone off the plane to you, like someone that's ahead of the waiting list, because it's not a like, we have 2 waiting list seats. I say yes, I cry, I run through security, almost missing the second flight. Then the plane breaks down before we board. They say, we have another plane, but there's 1 seat less on the plane. By this, I'm like, Jesus, take the wheel. Like, what is going on? And then they start offering people money to give up their seat. No one takes it at first. By the time, like by the third, time the woman is calling everyone at the gate, they're at like 500 euros or something. Someone finally gets up, takes the money, and like takes the later flight or the next day. So I am safe. I get to Salzburg. My best friends get married. It was a super emotional day and so beautiful. And I love. And I'm so happy for my friends. And it was so beautiful. Super close, tight-knit wedding of just family and close friends. And I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Next morning, 6 a.m., I drive my rental car back to Munich, fly to Paris, and finish Fashion Week. I also, that month, did my very first big hosting gig. So what I manifested a year ago during New Year's was, I want to speak more, I want hosting gigs, I want panel talks, I want all of this stuff. Like, I feel confident enough in myself to talk. And I manifested that, and it was I think my most paid job of last year. It was this hosting gig, and it was so much fun. And I don't know, I never thought I'd see the day where I feel comfortable enough to speak in front of a camera. That was never my vibe. You know, I posted pictures on Instagram, like that was it. Mainly sometimes through TikTok, I'm like slowly speaking. But 2 years ago, if you would have told me I'm like hosting something, I would have never. So that was a really, really big step for me in October. And in general, that Fashion Week was also great and such a confident boost. Then we get to November, my birthday month. I don't know if you guys know, but I feel like this is my main like personality trait. I am a triple Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Sounds very problematic, probably is. But at least the only, Sagittarius energy is like not for everyone. I don't know if you guys believe in star signs. At least there's nothing hidden, there's no hidden side. It's just all Sagittarius energy. Very blunt. I need to watch my mouth sometimes. So it's my birthday month. I did my second Sandra and Martin's lecture in November, which was crazy. I was actually in London because, I can't believe I'm saying this, my other highlight of the year. I feel like it's such a highlight reel, but the team of Marina Abramovic is my favorite artist of all time, reached out to me and they invited me to her play in London, like a preview of her play, and I got to see her for the first time in real life on stage, and it was breathtaking and magical, and I don't know, one of those experiences that you cannot buy. And my career slowly, I'm a huge art nerd, merging fashion and art, and I'm super grateful for these experiences, so that was really amazing. Then I get to Paris, and I gave a lecture at IFM, Institut Français de la Mode, where I talked about my career, which is insane, to like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 students. I don't know how many people were in there. And it was so lovely. And I had really like an out of body experience of like, oh my God, I cannot believe students are listening to me. And I love doing this stuff. So if you are a student anywhere in a bigger city and I don't know, you want me to come, like it's my favorite thing to do, please reach out through your professors to have me speak to you. I loved it. I also, in November, I really had with this man, if he wanted to, he would moment. So we were at this point still like friends, but like talking every day, texting every day. And it became kind of like, we both thought the other person is not interested in the other, if that makes sense. And I texted him, he's in New York, that I will be in Paris for my birthday if he wants to come join me. And this man texted me flight details like the same night. And we spent a week in Paris, and it was really magical. And I'm very grateful that he came to Paris. And since then, we've been together, basically. Then, also my birthday, just a little side note, I spent my birthday with Rick Owens. He took me out for lunch, him and my friend James, and brought me roses. And it was like, yeah, I can't believe that happened. Anyways, we're in December. December was my second time doing Miami Art Basel. Art Basel is basically just like this art fair. All the brands, all the collectors, everyone flies down to Miami because the weather is nice, and fashion and art are slowly, or very fast actually, merging. So all the major brands are there during Art Basel doing events and stuff, because the same rich person that's buying the Picasso is also the same person that's like spending 500K on a trip to Cartier, right? So it's like all merging, so all the brands have to be there. And I went to Miami for the first time ever last year in 2022 in December, and I was there with Farfetch on a major job. It was so amazing, getting flown in, yada, yada, yada. So this whole year I was manifesting this Farfetch job again. Little did I know, actually everyone knew, Farfetch basically bankrupt. So that was no longer possible, but I still somehow made it to Miami with a sponsored thing by someone else. And I had the best week ever. I was also with the man and my friend Blake, and it was just like such a good time. Then we're a week before Christmas. We're almost wrapping up the year, you guys. I was in New York for the launch of a magazine curated by my dream magazine, besides All 32C, and something I've always manifested, like one day I will have a little text in a magazine curated by, a magazine curated by Gala is like one of the first things I ever bought on eBay. It's such an iconic magazine. And now years later, my friend is the editor-in-chief. Blake, you're amazing, love you. And he did his first issue as editor-in-chief with Peter Doe and asked me to be a part of it, and I have like 8 pages in there, and I'm so grateful. And we did like a launch event. I met so many of you guys, and just that was really like, I cannot believe what my life has come to moment. And yeah, I'm so excited about everything that's to come. Then I had New Year's Eve 2 months ago in Mallorca with my best friend at my friend Johanna's house. And we were just cooking, going on dog walks, going on other walks. Very, very German, we love to go on walks. Walking is like a hobby. And manifesting this new year. And I'm so grateful for what's to come. Basically, the last 3 months, January to March, have just been fashion month, fall winter 24 season. I did men's and couture and women's, but I will talk about everything fashion month, I think, in another episode. But basically, it was the best season I've ever had, and I feel very grateful. Besides that, I hope you can hear it in my mood. I'm doing really good. That's also partly because the sun is out in Berlin, so seasonal depression is like magically over. I do want to go back to therapy. I've been in and out of therapy basically my whole life, but kind of haven't been in 2 years. And I don't know, I watch my close friends who are going. They have, I don't know, their coping skills are getting so much better with whatever life throws at them. And, you know, we live in super fucking dark times. So I think for me also, I'm a doom scroller. I get very attached to everything. So I think for me, I see some habits, you know, that's an infinite goal. Our mental health. I see some habits that are slowly coming back, even though I'm super happy. For example, I get scared to open my letterbox, my mailbox, because I know there's like bad things in there. Bad things meaning just like bills, like I can pay them. So I have like built this anxiety around like opening my letter, like weird shit. So I think I need to go back to therapy. But besides that, I am really happy. I hope everyone else is happy. I'm so excited for brand awareness. I hope you love it. And there's so many things to talk about. Some episodes are going to be funny. Some maybe catching up with a friend, personal life, career advice, all of the things. I want to talk about everything. I'm about to start packing for Tokyo, where I'm going next week, which I'm so excited for. It's my first time doing a vacation that's nothing to do with work in 3 years. I never really, you know, if you work for yourself, work is 24/7. If you do something you love, you're always working. And yeah, I'm taking a little mini break for 9 days during cherry blossom season. I am so stoked, you guys. Anyways, that is that for me. I'm very excited. Welcome to Brand Awareness. And I hope everyone's doing good. I'm sending so much love from Berlin. And yeah, thank you. Bye.